I just got back last night from a 2-week trip to Alberta, Canada. And I thought before I unpack everything and put it all away, I would just go over what it is that I used and took and kind of how the whole shooting went. So let me go over that for you. My name is Rob Skeoch. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm a retired photographer, career photographer. I worked for years for newspapers. Then I left the newspapers and I worked for Major League Baseball for 14 years and the NFL for years. And I shot, 1,000 pro hockey games and NBA. I became a pro sports photographer. Then I left that and I worked for Sony. And I joined Sony just before they started to bring out real cameras for real photographers. And I left Sony, I retired from Sony when they had become number one in the market. So welcome to the channel. Now, let's talk about what I took, what I used on this trip to Alberta. Now, the first thing I want to say is I did take a 35mm camera and I shot 5 rolls of Kentmere 200 and 35mm. And I'm going to keep everything related to 35mm on a second separate video. So I did take a 35mm, shot 5 rolls. Now, we all love 35mm. And as a photographer in the 80s, when film was what you shot, we all had 35mm. But you know what? We all had 2 1/4 too. There were not many photographers, pro photographers, who didn't shoot some of their freelance jobs, at least, on medium format. So if I'm shooting film, and all I shot was black and white film, if I'm shooting film, I'm probably shooting medium format. So this is the film that I took, and let me just kind of explain it. My new go-to film is Kentmere 200, but I had a bunch of FP4, so I shot, 2 rolls of FP4. I had a weird roll of this Ilford mono. I haven't shot that before, but I tried that. We'll see what that's like. I'm trying to use up my Delta 100, which had been my go-to film. Now I'm going to switch to Kentmere, as I said. So I shot 2, 4, 6, 8, 11 rolls of Delta 100. Again, that's a heavy shoot. And then the Kentmere 200, which I'm moving into. I've tested it a lot. I like it. So I shot 7 rolls of that. Now, when I left to go on this trip, I had lined up to do a portrait of some cowboys, and I brought some HP5 to do that, and that fell apart. So I came back with 1 roll of film. I was pretty close. I could have used this had the weather cooperated a little better. And I shot 1 roll of HP5. This was the last roll I had of film, and it was just too good the scene was just too nice. So shot 1 roll of HP5, 2 FP4, the weird mono, 7 Kentmere 200, 11 Delta 100s. I've got a bit of processing to do. And as I said, I'm keeping the 35mm all separate. That'll be a different video. And the film all goes in this plastic see-through freezer bag, which is how I took it there and how I'm bringing it home on the airplane. So everything that could get ruined by an airplane X-ray, airport X-ray, is in this bag, and I just hand it to them when they do the security check and ask for a hand check. Never had an issue. Maybe they just look at it. Sometimes they wipe it down and plug it in the machine and that. Never had an issue since I've started doing that. The only time I ever had an issue was flying back from the States, where the Americans felt that I was obviously a threat to the world, and they opened all my 8x10 film boxes to see what was inside them. But traveling this way, putting everything in a baggie, see-through, seems to work perfectly for getting through the airport. Now for cameras. So as I said, I took a 35mm, that's a different video. But I took my 2 main 2 1/4 cameras. This is my main camera, a Hasselblad 555. It's the one with the built-on motor. And so I took that, but I totally trust this camera. This is reliable. The way I shoot is I switch cameras every day. So I did a lot of shooting with this camera, and then the second day I used the 503 CX, which is really my backup camera. And because, I have learned as a pro, sometimes the cameras malfunction and you don't know it. And then you get back and, you shot, you went to Brazil for 2 weeks and everything, after the 4th day, nothing worked. So I switched cameras back and forth. At least I'm getting every other day. I totally know that this is reliable. I could use it every day, but I just switch. And my backup is a 503CX. CXI, technically. I like this one better. This is my go-to camera. Now I took two backs. These are the A12 backs, so it shoots 6x6 square, interchangeable, and easy to use. I use two backs back and forth. A lot of times they had different films in them. Now, my go-to prism, I don't have a prism, I just have what they call a chimney. I don't think it was very popular. I think it's the best answer, but I like this chimney. It's better than the pop-up viewfinder. When I'm shooting with this camera, I switch to the chimney prism too. So 555, that's my main camera. Shot mostly with that, but every other day I shot with the 503 CXI. This is my backup, but I have learned through mistakes over generations, over decades, hey, shoot every other day on the other camera. Your strategy might be different. You might have a better plan. That's my plan. Now, when we talk about lenses, I'm going to kind of go over this part quickly because it's really the other little features other little things I brought that are more useful as tips. But this is a Hasselblad 250. This was my main lens. I use this the most. This is the CFI version, kind of like the last version before they pulled the plug on that system. So a 250 on the Blad, I use that a lot. The next most popular was the 180. Again, this is the CFI version, but it's just the 180 Hasselblad lens. I use that a lot. This is the 120 macro. I didn't use it as macro at all. I was doing landscapes, the grand landscape as they used to term it, which I like shooting those actually. This is the 120. I use it a fair bit. And this is the 50 Distagon CFI version. It has the weird focus where you focus and then it's almost got like two focuses. You focus and then you adjust this other things. It moves the lenses a bit more inside and then gives you a sharper image and then you refocus. So 50 mil lens. Hardly use this at all. I know people think that, hey, there's mountains and they're big and they're wide. They are. And they're beautiful. But it's not my style. I want to see the craggy, gnarly peaks. I don't really want to see the whole mountain. I want to kind of zoom in on the peaks. So that's why I use the 250 as much as I did. So those are the four lenses I used. Kind of a standard kit. It's an ice kit. So I've got the 50, the 120, the 180, and the 250. Could I have used another lens? I could have. I could have used a 350. I would have loved to have a 350. I don't have one. I think they're expensive, so I'm not going to have one. And could I have used something wider? Not wider, surprisingly, that I saw, but I could have used longer. Anyways, kind of a standard Hasselblad kit. Now, these Hasselblad cameras don't have meters in them, so I do use, obviously, a handheld meter since there's no meter in the camera. So I use 2 meters. This is a Skeoch meter. I bought this new. It's brand new. I've only had it maybe 15 years, so I'm just getting it broken in. This is a Skeoch meter, does flash, ambient, Pocket Wizard compatible, things like that. Use that a bit. And then the Minolta Spot Meter F. They haven't made these for decades. This is probably... Well, I think it's the best spot meter out there. There's probably better ones now, but this does everything I need to do. You know what it does? It does a reading of a spot. So I use this a lot. Minolta Spot Meter F. Fantastic. And you know what else I did? I kind of bracketed a little bit. Hey, I have not spent a lot of times in the mountains. I'm not this mountain guy. Like, I like to go on walks around here, but there's no mountains. So I bracketed a little bit. I thought, yeah, this is the correct exposure, but I'm going to just bracket because I'm never coming back, or I'm rarely coming back, or when I come back, I mean, I loved it, so maybe I'll go back, but it's not going to look like it did that day. There was some unique, beautiful days, and I just kind of took my breath away and thought, I got to get a picture of this. So those are the meters that I used. All right, so you see the gear that I took, the cameras and the lenses and the film and the meters. So that's the bulk of the things. Now here's the things that I just take because that's how I shoot. So a little bit different. So I took these filters. These are for the 50 mil lens. So these are all B plus W. So I have a yellow filter. I didn't shoot much with the 50, so I probably only use this a little bit. I have an orange filter. I probably use this the most on the the 50mm lens. I have a red filter, which I probably didn't use very much or at all. I have a polarizing filter for that lens that I didn't take out of the box. And I used a green filter because I wanted to test how does the green, I never shoot with the green filter, but there was some great mountain scenes with trees, and I thought it's supposed to affect the trees, and I wanted to kind of run a couple of tests. So I did shoot a fair bit with the green because I never use it. So that's for the 50mm lens. Now, for the other lenses, they all take the same filter. So I have, again, a B+W yellow. It's a 022 standard. You need to have that. I used it a fair bit because I know in the mountains that the sky goes darker. You use it primarily to make the blue sky darker. That makes the clouds stick out better against the blue sky. So 022 yellow filter fits all three other lenses. I use the 040 orange a lot. My go-to filter, I like it. I use this a lot between that and the yellow. I have a red filter that I used very little, but I did shoot some with the red filter on those longer lenses. So to do these grand landscapes, blue sky, white clouds, I use those filters. So they're part of the main thing. Here's a little level that I never used at all, probably should have. This is a weird thing. This is a washer that I use to tighten the tripod thread on the little tripod quick release. This was useful, but I should have, who has cash anymore, right? No one carries change. I should throw a dime in this case because every once in a while your Hasselblad lens off the camera will fire, and then you have to kind of like turn the little screw, and a dime works better. This washer I used, but it was really too thick, and a dime would have been perfect. On the motorized Hasselblad, I don't have a cable release, but on the 503, a regular cable release, this one is amazingly good. I've had lots of cable releases. These were made by Ebony, the large format camera brand, and they were fantastic. And they're impossible to find now, but I've got a bunch of these. They're great. A couple of lens cloths just to keep the filters and the lenses working. Now, these are worn out gloves. These are lightweight gloves that you would wear probably underneath another pair of gloves. I didn't use them, but I want to talk about them for a second. So I didn't use them because it was either too warm or way too cold for this. So I did use regular gloves. But these lightweight gloves, when I was in high school, it wasn't my art teacher, but the art teacher was a guy named Robert Bateman. And he was the art teacher, and he became a wildlife painter. Even when at school he was a wildlife painter, but he left and just was a painter. And he suggested that I get these lightweight gloves because you can paint with them. And I've had these are Patagonia. I've had these 40 years. Now they're worn out, but it's just something to take the chill off. So Patagonia gloves. I didn't use them because it was either too warm or too cold, but I did bring them. And finally, a notebook. This is a moleskin. It's got to be moleskin. Like everybody knows that. And I didn't write a single note because now I'm doing my notes through video. So that's what I brought. And so what do you put it all in? I use this Think Tank backpack, which I basically left in the car and just took the camera and the tripod and maybe a lens in my pocket when I was at a scenario, at a photo opportunity. But this was my carry-on. This is how I got everything there. Think Tank backpack. This is wonderful. I'm sure they make a backpack still. I've had this for a while. I'm sure they make a backpack still. Maybe not this one, but this is fantastic. It's my carry-on, and everything fits in it. Now, when I would go out shooting, the camera that I wasn't using that day, I left back at the hotel. I don't need to lug an extra camera around. And any film that was shot, I left back at the hotel. Anything that stopped working, I left it back at the hotel. So, Think Tank, carry-on, put everything in this. Off you go. What an adventure. So much fun. So there you have the basic kit, mostly Hasselblad. I'll talk about the Leica stuff in a second video. And this was a great chance to go out. I have not spent a lot of time in the mountains. Great chance to go shoot in the mountains. Did I get some good photos? I don't know. I've got a lot of developing and printing ahead of me. But you know, fantastic trip. Now, I did take a tripod. I have a Gitzo reporter, and it has a Gitzo ball head. I'm not sure if I have a picture of it. I'm sure I've got a picture with a camera on it. But I used a Gitzo reporter tripod. It's not that tall. Because first off, you're looking down. It's like a waist level situation, right? So you don't need a huge tripod. But has a ball head. I wish it had a 3-way Gitzo head on it because I've got a Gitzo 3-way head on my other tripod. But this little Gitzo reporter is fine for air flying. My big Burlbach tripods, I mean, that'd be its own piece of luggage. So I wouldn't travel with that likely. Anyways, that's what I took. Had a lot of fun. Took a lot of photos. Can't wait to get them processed.